Hi, welcome to another edition of our Paterno Presser here at AltoonaMirror.com. Corey Geiger, Neil Rudel just finished Joe's press conference previewing Indiana. Still don't know who the quarterback's going to be, Neil, for Saturday. We'll get to that in just a moment. But the injury updates, first and foremost, Danton Lynn, a lot better off than they had feared. So just what Joe had to say about Danton.
Yeah, the fact that he's apparently going to be cleared to do some work on Thursday, whether that was in full pads is unclear. I think he clearly would be doubtful for this week, but great news. Anytime you see a kid taken off on a stretcher, and especially for anybody that was there when they did with Talifero and 11 years ago, it was good for Danton Lynn as a leader and a good player for the team.
One thing Joe talked about, one thing Jack Crawford said earlier today was he called it maybe like a spinal concussion, which is interesting. I've not heard that phrase before, but again, best wishes to Danton Lynn. He'll be out this week. I would think, just estimating he'd probably miss at least 2 weeks and maybe be questionable for that third. You just don't come back from these kinds of things that quickly. But Michael Maudie obviously will miss the rest of the season with a knee injury.
One thing Tom Bradley pointed out about Danton Lynn, his head was down. Talifero's head was down, and these kids at times lead with their helmet. You're putting yourself in harm's way.
All right, so again, no decision on the quarterback. That's been the main topic for this entire season, and it will be until there is a decision made. Statistically, McGloin has outplayed Bolden in 3 of the 4 games badly. Now, against Alabama, McGloin did not look good at all, and Bolden outplayed him there. But to me, Neil, McGloin deserves a start. McGloin deserves an opportunity based on the fact that he has outplayed Bolden at pretty much every turn. He was the Big Ten co-offensive player of the week this week. So why don't they give McGloin a shot?
I can't disagree with that. I think sometimes coaches are just so stubborn, and they're also a little paranoid in the sense that this rotation at least has worked. There's been many years where the starter has struggled and there's been a reluctance to go to the backup. Well, they've at least committed to playing 2, and in 3 of the wins, McGloin has played well against lesser competition, granted. So, and Joe didn't get it. There weren't a lot of quarterback questions. Not that he nipped it, but the one thing, Bolden's not throwing the screen pass very well at all early in games. Most of the first series they've gone to a screen. It's just been messed up for whatever reason. But Joe's comment today I thought was kind of interesting, whether he was trying to make a case that I don't know what he's making a case for, but he said sometimes it's an advantage to not start the game. You can see the game, you can see what the other team is doing. So I don't know if he was trying to say, well, that's why McGloin is doing well and Bolden isn't doing as well, but he maintained that he still thinks they have 2 good quarterbacks. I don't think Bolden's proven that yet.
It might be a subtle thing for some people, but what Neil said about the screen pass, we know that when they get up against better competition with faster defensive guys, they utilize that screen pass an awful lot. Now, Stephon Green's not even playing. They've used Stephon in that over the past couple of years. If Bolden can't throw that pass, that takes a key element out of their offense for what they like to try to do against the Iowas, against the Ohio States and Nebraskas. I think the young man just has not shown any touch on balls, but clearly people think that he has so much more potential, Neil. The one thing that bothers me is that people seem to think Matt McGloin will always be the quarterback he was on January 1st, 2011 in the Outback Bowl. He'll never improve. He'll always be that. They're going to pigeonhole him into that quarterback. And I think that's unfair because every athlete gets better from day to day, week to week, season to season. Yeah, can McGloin be as good long-term as Bolden? Maybe not. But I do think McGloin will continue to get better, and I think it's unfair for people to just say he's always going to be as lousy as he was in the Outback Bowl.
That is unfair, but he didn't change that by how he played against Alabama. Bolden didn't play great against Alabama, but he at least played better, and he had some real catchable long balls dropped against Alabama. So far McGloin hasn't changed that. I'd be anxious to see what he'll do against better competition. On the road in Indiana would be probably similar to on the road against Temple, although I think Temple's probably better than Indiana. So we'll have to see with these upcoming games this week, and particularly Iowa next week.
All right, your score prediction?
I picked Penn State 28, Indiana 17. Penn State's not been a real good road team. The line's 17.5. I guess I picked Indiana to cover. I've been wrong all year on the line, so I'm kind of hoping to break that streak.
I'm going to pick Indiana to cover as well. 27-13, Penn State. I'll give the Hoosiers a touchdown and 2 field goals. Really, really just embarrassing loss for them. I was reading one of the Indianapolis papers. Their guy ranked that the second worst loss that he's seen for Indiana in his 14 years there, losing to North Texas on the road.
What was number one?
Number one, 83-20 against Wisconsin. That was number 3. I'm trying to think. I think number 1 might have been a few years ago when they were bowl eligible, and then they lost like by 40 points to a bad Minnesota team, and then they ended up not winning again. They needed one more win to be bowl eligible. But again, they lost to North Texas, which is one of the worst teams in the Sun Belt Conference. I thought it was the team from the movie Necessary Roughness with Kathy Ireland and Scott Bakula, but that's just a joke. But no, bad loss. They come back home. I would think Indiana is going to be fired up a little bit, but they're just outmanned.
Yeah. Well, a big opportunity for Penn State to take some momentum into the Big Ten, and particularly with Iowa. They can never have too much momentum going into an Iowa game.
Did you see Necessary Roughness? Kathy Ireland, she's the field goal kicker.
Yeah, I know about her. She was in Sports Illustrated at one point, right?
That was her best work.
Yeah, she's still doing advertising, too.
Oh, she was horrible on, like, the Oscars.
She doesn't have to act.
All right, for Neil Rudel, I'm Cory Geiger. Thanks so much.